For someone who's stuck with his team through hard times, Verstappen is the one in the best position to advise his friend, Lando Norris, on what his next step should be. There have been rumours that the British driver is planning to leave his McLaren team in search of greener pastures, and there's talk about him considering Red Bull. So what was Verstappen's advice, and would Lando Norris be considering it? You'd have to stick around to find out. It all started when eagle-eyed fans spotted the Red Bull and Norris began to follow each other on Instagram. It wasn't totally weird for a driver to follow another team on social media, but it became weird when the team returned the gesture and wasn't following any other driver except the one on their team. This activity began the rumours of him leaving McLaren for the Red Bull team. But what further escalated the speculations was the fact that the driver and his manager were spotted having conversations with representatives of the Red Bull team. The conversation would have been considered a regular chit-chat, but it came after the British dazed everyone with his performance at Silverstone, so they were definitely not talking about the weather. At Silverstone, he had kept Red Bull on their toes with his performance during qualifying. The McLaren driver had almost earned the pole position as he was comfortably in the lead, but Verstappen was able to pass him in the end. Then during the actual race, the two men were in an intense battle for the win. The only reason the Dutch driver came out victorious was due to Red Bull's superior car. And it was after that performance Helmut Marko was seen discussing with Lando's manager, Mark Berryman. And when he was asked during an interview what he thought of Lando's performance, he hinted at something. He has a contract with McLaren in 2025, but he is by far the strongest of the young drivers. Why would he mention Lando's contract with McLaren if he didn't have ulterior motives? And we all know that Marko is on the lookout for strong and talented drivers, especially with Sergio Perez's recent performance. At the beginning of the season, what Red Bull had to worry about was how intense the rivalry between their two drivers would get since they were both competing for the championship title. However, Perez's performance soon dropped and he began struggling to reach the full potential of the car. Although he is currently second on the Drivers' Championship table, you can see that the team have not been pleased with his performance. Marko has not hidden his disapproval. However, he has no plans of replacing him till the end of the season. He explained that if they swap drivers mid-season, they'd have to forfeit all that has been able to achieve, and they're not willing to do that. So, he should focus on doing better instead of getting all tense over losing his seat. The Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, also mentioned that Perez's performance was affected because he was putting undue pressure on himself and he would do better if he could only relax his shoulders. It's frustrating for him that he's having to fight back all the time. It's just one of those things that I think, as in all sports, 90% of it is in the head, and I think that he just needs a good run and he'll find his momentum again. Although these words are enough to convince Perez that his seat is safe till the end of the season, there is nothing to assure him that his contract won't be terminated if Lando Norris agrees to join Red Bull next season. Lando made his debut with McLaren in 2019 with the hope of winning races as well as championships, but so far, he has not won a single race, and it's not due to a lack of talent, but the awful cars that McLaren has been providing. His 2019 season saw him being part of the first 10 a few times, and it showed that he had the talent to do much better, but from there, he hit a downslide because McLaren kept falling lower and lower in the development of the car. Before the start of the 2022 season, Lando believed the McLaren team would finally provide him with a car that would have him fighting for championship titles. But the season came and things went from bad to worse. The 2023 car didn't start well either, despite how hard the team worked on building a good car. And that was when he started considering looking for other options. He said, "In the back of my mind, there's that impatient game of, do I stick it out for another few years, or is it time to look at something different?" But before he could make a decision, McLaren introduced this new upgrade to the car that had competing with top teams like Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. Initially, when he performed well at Silverstone, everyone, including himself, thought it was a one-time thing. He talked about several other things that needed to be fixed after the race. "I feel as if we're getting excited, and I accept that. But we're going to do a couple of tracks coming up where I'm sure people are going to be saying, 'What have you done now? Like, how has it got so bad all of a sudden?' But the British driver was able to replicate the performance in Hungary, and although he couldn't do the same at Spa, he was among the top 10. So, there's a very high chance the McLaren team is about to reach their desired target. But the question is Lando willing to wait? The McLaren driver has not clearly stated his decision. However, he has stated on multiple occasions that he would love to win races as a McLaren driver, especially since he made his debut with the team. "I know where my home is. I know the people who gave me this chance in Formula 1. but he might not be willing to wait too long if the opportunity to do well doesn't come soon enough. McLaren's boss, Zach Brown, is clearly afraid to lose his star driver, and has revealed that they're working hard to ensure Lando reaches his full potential in F1. In an interview with ESPN, he mentioned that Lando would only consider leaving if he was completely pushed to the wall. He loves McLaren. It's been his family. So there's no doubt in my mind that his number one choice is to win a world championship with McLaren. He continued by saying the team had to put in their all to ensure he didn't leave. He mentioned that Lando's reason was not related to the salary, but his ability to win a championship title. Because how would he be able to achieve that if the team wasn't providing a good car? I think the best thing we do to retain him is to demonstrate to him we're a team capable of doing that. It's about giving him a car where he thinks, I think I can win a world championship with this team. As for Lando considering Red Bull, Brown mentioned that he couldn't stop him if he tried, but there were several uncertainties in the future. For instance, Red Bull would be using a totally new engine in 2026, and there'd be all sorts of changes in the regulation, so there's a chance that the story could change. This statement is quite similar to what Lando's friend Max Verstappen said when he heard the rumours of him leaving McLaren. The Dutch driver mentioned that he had no doubt about his friend's skills, but he needed to be patient to get the success he desired. Verstappen described how he was in a similar state when he joined Red Bull, but his patience paid off as his team was able to build a good car after several failed tries. When Verstappen made his debut with Red Bull, things were not going great for the team. They only got a few shots at winning races and were nowhere near Mercedes in performance. Verstappen knew he could achieve so much if he was in a great car, so he was constantly frustrated. At a point, he considered leaving the team, but he just couldn't waste his years being just one of the rest. He needed to win championship titles. But just as he was about to leave, things changed for the better, and he got the chance to win a championship with the team he desired. How heartbreaking would it have been if Verstappen moved to Ferrari or Mercedes just before Red Bull got better? It would have been more infuriating, especially due to the two teams' recent performance. Verstappen is not the only one who had urged the McLaren driver to exercise patience. F1 expert Eddie Jordan also advised him to remain with the team. Jordan said he had been following the McLaren's performance for a very long time, and he could say that they were doing the right things and working hard towards the targeted goal. He discussed how they handled the Honda and Alonso affair, and how they bid Ricciardo goodbye when he wasn't delivering. He said it showed signs of a team who knew what the problems were and was willing to solve them. I've been very critical of McLaren in the past, not just the way they left Honda, but the Alonso affair. So full marks to them. And that's what I love to see. Somebody who can actually get a grip of something, see where the errors are, see what the problems are, and emerge at the other end. Please, Lando, my wish for you is to stay where you are. You're not going to find much better. I agreed that Lando should remain with McLaren, especially with the newly found improvement. But if it doesn't get better by 2026, he could begin searching for other options. So what do you think? Should Lando stay or search for greener pastures? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.